and welcome to Mind in Action, the podcast from Minecraft, where we decode the mental models and philosophies that empower you to live a more intentional life. Let's start with a quick diagnostic. Open your phone. Scroll through your social media feed for just 30 seconds. What do you see? It's a fire hose of flawlessness. Flawless selfies with perfect skin, hyper-productive morning routines that start at 4 a.m., minimalist homes that look like art galleries, and success stories packaged in neat, inspiring carousels. It's the highlight reel of humanity, polished to a blinding, unrealistic sheen. But this isn't just about social media. That's merely the most visible symptom of a much deeper cultural illness. Think about your workplace. The pressure to be the ideal worker, always on, never making a mistake, constantly exceeding expectations, and replying to emails at 10 p.m. Think about the fitness world with its obsession over optimized diets, perfect body fat percentages, and relentless performance metrics that can turn a healthy activity into another source of anxiety. Think about modern parenting, where the pressure to raise a perfect child creates immense stress for both parents and kids. Even the self-help industry, while well-intentioned, can trap us in a cycle of endless self-improvement, suggesting we are a problem to be solved, a project that is never quite finished. Now let's complete the diagnostic. Check in with yourself. Not just a surface-level check, but a deep, honest one. How does this constant, pervasive pressure for perfection actually make you feel in your body and in your mind? If you're like most of us, it triggers a low-grade hum of anxiety, a background static of not enoughness. It's a persistent, nagging feeling that you're falling behind, that you're not doing enough, not good enough, not enough. Neurologically, this can keep our brains in a state of chronic, low-level threat response, as if the danger of being found out as imperfect is always lurking around the corner. This state, governed by cortisol and adrenaline, literally inhibits higher-level creative thinking and problem-solving. It's the cognitive dissonance between the messy, beautiful reality of your life and the curated, flawless ideal you feel you should be living up to. This is the perfection trap, and it's one of the most exhausting, invisible prisons of modern life. It's a scarcity mindset applied to the self. It fuels burnout by telling you that rest is a luxury you haven't earned. It cripples creativity by making you terrified of producing anything less than a masterpiece, leading to procrastination and self-doubt. And most insidiously, it convinces you that your inherent worth is conditional, contingent upon your achievements, your appearance, and your productivity. We're constantly filtering our photos, fixing our flaws, and forcing ourselves into a mold that was never designed for the complex, messy, and unpredictable reality of being human. But what if there was a radical alternative? Not just a coping mechanism, but a completely different mental operating system. An OS that doesn't just tolerate imperfection, but actively seeks out its beauty, its wisdom, and its strength? What if the cracks, the scars, the mistakes, and the signs of wear and tear were not evidence of failure, but badges of honor, proof of resilience, evidence of a life fully and courageously lived? There is. It's an ancient Japanese philosophy, a quiet but powerful rebellion against the tyranny of perfection. It's called Wabi-Sabi. Today on Mind in Action, we're not just going to explore this beautiful concept, we're going to weaponize it. We're going to treat it like a form of mental martial art. We'll deconstruct its principles, understand its strategy, and then drill the techniques so you can use them, starting today, to break free from the perfection trap. This is your strategy to build profound resilience, cultivate an unshakable sense of inner peace, and reclaim your authentic self in a world that wants you to be anything but. This isn't just philosophy. This is a tactical guide for a stronger, more intentional mind. Deconstructing the code. The dual engines of Wabi-Sabi. To get Wabi-Sabi working for us, we first need to understand its source code. The term is a fusion of two separate, powerful concepts that act like dual engines for this philosophy: Wabi and Sabi. Understanding them individually is the key to unlocking their combined power. First, let's look at Wabi-Sabi. Its origins are humble, initially describing a kind of lonely, rustic simplicity, the life of a hermit or a monk living apart from the world. It carried a nuance of sadness, of being without. But through the transformative lens of Zen Buddhism, this idea was completely reframed and elevated. Wabi evolved to mean the kind of profound beauty and inner richness found in radical simplicity. It's the deep satisfaction you feel when you intentionally strip away the non-essential, leaving only what truly matters. It's the quiet confidence of something or someone that doesn't need to shout to be noticed. This is the ancient Japanese version of what modern thinkers like Greg McKeown call essentialism. It's about discerning the vital few from the trivial many. It's crucial here to distinguish Wabi from its modern cousin, minimalism. While both champion simplicity, their motivations differ. Modern minimalism often focuses on decluttering for efficiency, productivity, and a clean, almost sterile aesthetic. It can, paradoxically, become another form of perfectionism, the perfect white wall, the perfectly organized closet. Wabi, on the other hand, is less about absence and more about a deep appreciation for the humble presence of what remains. It doesn't seek emptiness for the sake of it. It seeks the simplicity that reveals the soul of an object or an experience. Imagine a simple, handcrafted wooden desk. It's not made of exotic, imported wood or covered in a glossy, flawless varnish that hides the material's true nature. It's just a solid piece of local timber, functional and unadorned. You can see the natural grain, a swirling history of the tree's life. You can feel the texture of the wood under your fingertips, maybe even spot a small, perfectly imperfect knot where a branch once grew. Working at this desk feels grounding. The solid, natural material connects you to the earth. Contrast this with a cold glass and steel desk, which might be perfect, but feels anonymous and sterile. The Wabi desk has character. It has a story. It's not trying to be anything other than what it is, a desk. That feeling of grounded, authentic, and understated quality, that's the essence of Wabi. In our lives, Wabi is a direct antidote to the relentless consumer culture of more. It's the freedom that comes from releasing the exhausting need to impress. It's choosing depth over breadth, a few true, vulnerable friendships over 1,000 online followers. It's finding more joy in a simple, home-cooked meal shared with loved ones than in a 10-course meal at a trendy restaurant designed for Instagram. Wabi is the cultivation of inner wealth, the quiet power of knowing you are enough, just as you are, without the external validation. It's the joy of missing out, JOMO, on the noise, the trends, and the endless chase, so you can tune into the quiet, essential signal of your own life. The second engine is Sabi, Z. If Wabi is about the beauty of simplicity, Sabi is about the beauty of time. Its original meaning was tied to words like rust, decay, and to grow old. Again, not exactly positive on the surface, but Zen philosophy, with its deep focus on the nature of reality, saw something profound. Sabi became the appreciation for the beauty, grace, and elegance that emerges with age. It's the reverence for things that bear the undeniable marks of time and experience. It is the beauty of the imperfect, the weathered, and the transient. Think of your favorite pair of old blue jeans, softened and faded perfectly to your shape in a way no factory could replicate. Or a classic leather jacket, creased and worn from years of adventures, each scuff mark a silent story. Or the beautiful silvery green patina on an old bronze statue in a park. These things aren't beautiful in spite of their age. They are beautiful because of it. Their imperfections tell a story of a life lived, of resilience, of a journey through time. Sabi is also found in nature, a weathered mountain face, sculpted by millennia of wind and rain, a decaying log in the forest, sprouting new life in the form of mushrooms and moss, the fleeting, poignant beauty of cherry blossoms. The reason cherry blossoms are so revered is not just their beauty, but their extreme impermanence. Their perfection lasts for only a moment, which forces us to be fully present and appreciate them. Their transient nature is what gives them their profound meaning. Sabi teaches us to see the passage of time not as a process of decay to be feared, but as a process of enrichment to be honored. It's the deep understanding that everything is impermanent, mujo, in a constant state of flux. Nothing lasts forever. This isn't a depressing thought. It's a liberating one, echoing the Stoic practice of memento mori, remembering death. Yet, Wabi-Sabi adds another layer to the Stoic acceptance of fate. While Stoicism focuses on enduring hardship with virtue and logic to maintain inner tranquility, Wabi-Sabi encourages us to find a gentle aesthetic pleasure in that very transience. It's not just about enduring the storm. It's about appreciating the beauty of the rain-streaked window pane. It's a quiet rebellion against our modern obsession with anti-aging, with preserving everything in a state of artificial newness. Sabi finds beauty in the entire cycle of life, including the fading and the ending. When you fuse these two engines, you get Wabi-Sabi, the art of finding and appreciating beauty in things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. It's a direct challenge to the Western Greco-Roman ideal of beauty, which glorifies symmetry, flawlessness, and monumental permanence. Wabi-Sabi doesn't look for gods in perfect, immortal marble statues. It finds a quiet divinity in a humble, slightly misshapen clay cup that fits perfectly in your hands. There's a legendary story about the 16th century tea master, Sen no Rikyo, who perfected the Wabi-Sabi tea ceremony. At the time, the aesthetic favored by the powerful shoguns and samurai was often lavish, ornate, and symmetrical, heavily influenced by opulent Chinese styles. Tea ceremonies were held in grand rooms adorned with gold leaf, using intricate, perfectly crafted Chinese porcelain. It was a display of power and wealth. Rikyu championed a radical simplicity in direct opposition to this. He designed small, rustic tea huts with low doorways, forcing even the most powerful samurai to bow and leave his sword outside, creating a space of equality. As a young man, he was tasked by his master to clean the garden. Rikyu worked for hours, meticulously raking the ground, pruning every bush, and removing every single fallen leaf. The garden was spotless, a picture of absolute human order and control. It was, by all conventional standards, perfect. But just before presenting his work, Rikyu stopped. He looked at the pristine garden, a reflection of his own effort, and understood it was missing something vital. It was missing life. It was missing its connection to the natural world it was supposed to represent. So he walked to a maple tree and gave it a gentle shake, causing a few crimson leaves to scatter artfully, randomly, across the freshly raked moss. That single act is the key to understanding Wabi-Sabi in action. But let's be clear about what it doesn't mean. Wabi-Sabi is not an excuse for sloppiness, laziness, or a lack of effort. Rikyu had to clean the garden to perfection first. The intentional imperfection was the final, masterful touch, not the starting point. In our own lives, this means Wabi-Sabi isn't about submitting a half-finished report and calling it imperfectly beautiful. It's about doing your best, preparing diligently, and then accepting the outcome with grace, knowing that you cannot control every variable. It's the wisdom to know when to perfect and when to let things be perfectly imperfect. The Wabi-Sabi mindset versus the perfectionist trap, a head-to-head analysis. So, how does this ancient philosophy become a powerful tool for us today? By acting as a direct antidote, a targeted counter-program to the toxic mental patterns of perfectionism. Let's put them head-to-head in 3 key battlegrounds of our inner lives. Battleground 1, the source of self-worth. Perfectionism dictates, your worth is external. It's a score measured by your performance, your appearance, and the constant approval of others. This forces you onto a hedonic treadmill, where you're constantly chasing the next achievement, the next promotion, the next compliment, the next like, believing that's where sustainable happiness lies. It's a game you can never win because the goalposts are always moving. This mindset establishes an external locus of control for your self-esteem, making your inner peace dangerously dependent on the unpredictable and often fickle opinions of the outside world. This is the engine of the social media dopamine loop, where each notification provides a fleeting hit of validation, leaving you craving more. It's also the fertile ground for imposter syndrome, the persistent fear that you will be found out as a fraud, that your imperfections will be exposed, and your success will be revealed as a fluke. Imposter syndrome is fundamentally a fear of your authentic, imperfect self being seen. The Wabi-Sabi mindset counters, your worth is inherent. It exists in your being, not your doing. It finds beauty not in the flawless outcome, but in the authentic, messy process of trying. It values your unique story, including the struggles, the detours, and the scars. Wabi-Sabi helps you relocate your sense of self-worth from the chaotic, judgmental world outside to the calm, stable center within you. It cultivates a powerful internal locus of control, teaching you that you are the ultimate arbiter of your own value. This fosters what psychologists call unconditional self-regard, or self-acceptance. It directly dismantles imposter syndrome by reframing the narrative. Instead of fearing the exposure of your fraudulent, imperfect self, you learn to value and present that authentic self as your greatest strength. It's the difference between a fragile ego that needs constant validation, like a house of cards in the wind, and a resilient spirit that is self-contained and deeply rooted like an ancient oak tree. Battleground 2, the role of mistakes. Perfectionism screams, mistakes are failures. They are evidence of your inadequacy and must be hidden at all costs. This creates a crippling fear of failure that paralyzes action. It stops you from taking risks, from being vulnerable, from speaking up in a meeting, and from learning. Because real, deep learning only happens at the edge of our comfort zone, where we're willing to get things wrong. Perfectionism wants a perfect record, even if it means never truly playing the game. The perfectionist's approach to a broken pot is to sweep up the shards and throw them away in shame, pretending it never existed. This is how we treat parts of our own history, our failed projects, or our past selves. We try to erase them. The Wabi-Sabi mindset embraces mistakes as data, as chapters in the story. The most powerful illustration of this is the art of Kintsugi, which means to join with gold. When a cherished piece of pottery breaks, Kintsugi masters don't just glue it back together. The process is slow and deliberate. They carefully collect every shard, even the smallest ones. They meticulously piece them together, using a special lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum to bind the pieces. The process can take weeks. Imagine the mindful attention required, feeling the rough edges of the break, carefully applying the binding agent, and patiently dusting the precious metal into the seams. It is a slow, healing art. Instead of trying to hide the cracks, Kintsugi makes them the most beautiful feature of the object, transforming the lines of breakage into intricate golden veins. The repaired piece is considered more beautiful and valuable than the original, for it now bears the visible history of its own resilience. This is a profound metaphor for the human experience. It aligns perfectly with what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, where challenges and failures are seen not as evidence of incompetence, but as opportunities for growth. It also resonates deeply with the work of researcher Brené Brown on vulnerability and shame resilience. Perfectionism is a 20-ton shield we carry to avoid feeling shame. But Kintsugi teaches us to put down the shield and see the beauty and strength in our vulnerabilities and scars. Furthermore, this practice is a direct application of what Dr. Kristen Neff, a leading researcher, calls self-compassion. Treating our failures with kindness and understanding rather than harsh judgment has been scientifically shown to increase resilience, reduce anxiety, and improve motivation. Kintsugi is self-compassion made visible. Battleground 3, the perception of time perfectionism declares, aging is a decline. The passage of time is an enemy to be fought with every cream, procedure, and filter available. This creates a frantic, desperate war against a natural, universal process, a war that no one can ever win. It equates youth with value and aging with a slow slide into irrelevance. This youth industrial complex thrives on our fear of becoming invisible or obsolete. It's a mindset that is terrified of the final chapter, and so it can never be fully present in the current one. The Wabi-Sabi mindset venerates age. It sees the passage of time as a process that adds layers of character, wisdom, and beauty. Just as an old wooden table gains a rich patina from years of family dinners, a person gains a depth and grace that youth, with all its vibrant energy, cannot replicate. The wrinkles around your eyes are the maps of 1,000 smiles. The silver in your hair is the crown of your experience. Wabi-Sabi offers a liberating peace treaty with time. It allows you to find dignity and beauty in every season of life, understanding that aging is not a loss of potential, but the gradual realization of potential over a lifetime. It aligns with the Japanese concept of ikigai, a reason for being. Unlike the Western idea of a career having a single peak, ikigai can evolve. A person's ikigai at 25 might be building a family or a career. At 65, it might be mentoring the next generation, mastering a craft, or cultivating a garden. Each stage has its own profound purpose and beauty. Aging, in this view, is a journey toward purpose, not away from value. By systematically reframing our relationship with imperfection, failure, and time, the Wabi-Sabi mindset dismantles the very foundations of toxic perfectionism. It's not just a nice idea, it's a strategic mental shift that can radically reduce anxiety and increase your overall sense of well-being. Putting Wabi-Sabi into action, your imperfection toolkit. This is Mind in Action, so let's move from philosophy to practice. How do you start integrating the Wabi-Sabi mindset into your daily life? Here is your toolkit, 4 actionable strategies to begin your own quiet revolution against perfectionism. 1. Practice mental Kintsugi, mending your mistakes with gold. The next time you make a mistake, big or small, resist the immediate instinct to self-criticize or hide. Instead, activate the Kintsugi method for your mind. Let's walk through a concrete example. Imagine you just gave a presentation at work that didn't go well. The Q&A was a disaster, and you feel a hot wave of shame. The perfectionist voice in your head is screaming. Here's how to apply mental Kintsugi. Step 1. Acknowledge the break. Don't deny it, it wasn't that bad, or catastrophize, I'm getting fired. State the objective reality. My presentation didn't land as I'd hoped. I struggled with the questions, and I feel embarrassed and disappointed. Acknowledging the specific feeling and the event without blame is the first step. Step 2. Gather the pieces with compassion. Your inner critic wants to say, "You're an idiot. You're not cut out for this. Everyone thinks you're a fraud." Instead, activate your inner mentor. What would a kind, wise mentor say? "Hey, that was a tough room. Presenting is hard. It's okay to feel disappointed, but this one moment doesn't define your entire career or your intelligence. You were brave just to get up there." This is the active practice of self-compassion. Step 3. Apply the gold. The gold is the lesson. Ask a growth-oriented question. What is the specific data point here? What can I learn from this? The answer isn't, "I'm a bad presenter." It's, "I need to anticipate difficult questions more thoroughly," or "I should practice my delivery in front of a colleague next time." The lesson is the precious material that makes you stronger and wiser. Step 4. Integrate the story. This is the master step. Don't just learn the lesson, own the story. Reframe the mistake not as a shameful secret, but as a pivotal moment in your journey. You could literally write in a journal, "This is the story of the presentation that taught me the crucial difference between knowing my material and being prepared for any question. It was a painful but necessary lesson in true preparation." Owning your story, scars and all, is the ultimate act of self-acceptance. 2. Curate an imperfect home. Create a space for real life. Your environment profoundly shapes your mindset. The trend of minimalist, sterile, Instagram-perfect homes can be just another form of perfectionism. Counter it by intentionally curating a Wabi-Sabi space. This doesn't mean living in clutter. It means choosing items that have a soul and a story. Conduct a Wabi-Sabi audit of your living space. Walk through each room and ask of each object, is this perfect but soulless, or imperfect but full of soul? Does this object tell a story, or is it just for show? Keep the slightly chipped mug you bought on a memorable trip. Display the worn-out books you love to reread with their cracked spines and dog-eared pages. Let your wooden furniture show a few scratches. They're marks of life happening. A Wabi-Sabi home engages the senses, the smell of old books or beeswax polish, the feel of a rough linen blanket, the sound of silence in a room uncluttered by noisy electronics. Then, actively bring in natural, imperfect elements, a twisted branch from a walk in the woods, a collection of stones from a beach, a simple pot of herbs on your windowsill. Create a small Wabi-Sabi corner, a space with no other purpose than to hold these simple, natural objects that remind you of the beauty in imperfection. This applies to your digital spaces too. Unfollow accounts that make you feel inadequate. Let your desktop be functional, not flawless. Your home shouldn't feel like a showroom. It should feel like a nest, a comfortable, authentic space that reflects a life being lived, not a life being staged. 3. Embrace the good enough moment. The art of mindful satisficing. Perfectionism often tells us that every moment must be optimized. We multitask while eating, listen to podcasts while exercising, and plan our next move while we should be enjoying the current one. Wabi-Sabi invites you to embrace the good enough moment through the art of satisficing. Coined by Nobel laureate Herbert Simon, satisficing is choosing the first option that meets your criteria, good enough. Rather than agonizing over finding the absolute best or perfect option, maximizing. Maximizing creates a huge cognitive load, and it often leads to decision paralysis and regret. Satisficing is a liberating strategy. Try this simple exercise. Pick one daily activity, like your morning coffee, your walk to work, or washing the dishes. For just those 5 minutes, do only that one thing. Don't try to make it a perfect meditative experience. Just be present with the reality of it. Notice the warmth of the coffee cup, the sound of your footsteps, the feeling of the warm water on your hands. The moment might be messy, interrupted, or imperfect. That's fine. The goal isn't to achieve a perfect state of Zen. The goal is simply to show up for your own life, one good enough moment at a time. This practice builds the mental muscle of presence and acceptance and frees you from the paralysis of always needing things to be perfect. 4. Redefine your relationship with time. Become an apprentice to aging. This is a deep one, especially in a youth-obsessed culture. It requires a conscious, active rebellion against cultural narratives. Start by actively looking for the beauty of age around you. Notice the grace in an old tree, the character in a historic building, the wisdom in the face of an elder. Then turn that lens inward. Start a journal dedicated to one question: what are the gifts of time? Once a week, write down something you know now that you didn't know 5 years ago. Note a challenge that made you more resilient. Acknowledge a freedom you've gained as you've gotten older, like caring less about others' opinions. This is your inventory of time's gifts. To deepen this practice, interview an older person you admire. Ask them about their own gifts of time, their lessons, and their perspective. Or try this. Write a letter to your 80-year-old self, not listing the goals you hope to achieve, but asking for the wisdom you hope to have gained. When you see a new wrinkle or a gray hair, try this powerful mental reframe. Instead of thinking, "I'm getting old," try thinking, "I'm accumulating life." You are not fading. You are deepening. This isn't about pretending you love every aspect of aging. It's about consciously shifting your focus from what is being lost to what is being gained. It's about seeing your life not as a beauty contest, but as a long, fascinating apprenticeship to wisdom. As a final, actionable step, take the 7-day Wabi-Sabi challenge. For the next week, your only task is to find and photograph one example of imperfect beauty each day. It could be a crack in the pavement where a flower is growing, a rust pattern on a metal gate, a piece of fruit with an unusual shape. You don't have to post it or share it. This is a private exercise to retrain your eye, to recalibrate your brain's aesthetic GPS away from the polished and perfect and towards the real, the weathered, and the authentic. The final frontier, Wabi-Sabi in relationships. Perhaps the most profound and challenging application of this philosophy lies in how we connect with others. The perfection trap doesn't just affect our relationship with ourselves. It poisons our relationships with the people we care about most. We often project our own perfectionistic standards onto others. We look for the perfect partner, get frustrated when our friends have flaws, and feel disappointed when our family members don't live up to our idealized expectations. Wabi-Sabi offers a more compassionate, more realistic, and ultimately more loving path. It starts with accepting the imperfection in others. Your partner's annoying habit of leaving socks on the floor, your friend's chronic lateness, your parents' outdated views. These are their cracks and scratches. Wabi-Sabi encourages us to see these not as deal breakers or flaws to be fixed, but as part of the unique, complex, and ultimately lovable tapestry of who they are. For example, instead of seeing a partner's messiness as a personal attack, a Wabi-Sabi lens might reframe it as part of the chaotic, creative energy you fell in love with. It's about loving the whole person, not just the highlight reel. This doesn't mean accepting harmful or disrespectful behavior, but it does mean letting go of the need for others to be perfect in order to be worthy of our love. Furthermore, Wabi-Sabi teaches us to appreciate the beauty of a weathered relationship. A new romance is exciting, like a brand new, glossy object. But a long-term relationship, be it with a partner, a sibling, or a lifelong friend, is like a beloved Kintsugi bowl. It has a history. It's been through arguments and misunderstandings, the breaks. It's been repaired with forgiveness, difficult conversations, and shared experiences. The gold. A new relationship is like a pristine GPS, efficient and perfect. A long-term love is like a well-worn map, creased at the folds, maybe with a few coffee stains, where each mark represents a journey taken together, a shortcut discovered, a storm weathered. The map is infinitely more valuable because of its imperfections, not in spite of them. It's about honoring the journey you've been on together, including the difficult parts that made you stronger. Finally, this leads to Wabi-Sabi communication. Instead of trying to craft the perfect response or always say the right thing, we can embrace vulnerability. It's the courage to say, "I don't know the answer," or "I was wrong," or "I'm feeling hurt right now." It's accepting that conversations can be awkward, that there will be silences, and that perfect understanding is an illusion. Authentic connection is built not on flawless communication, but on the messy, imperfect, and courageous effort to truly see and hear one another. The beauty of a life lived. We started today by diagnosing the perfection trap, the exhausting, endless race to be flawless in a world that profits from our insecurity. We've deconstructed Wabi-Sabi, not as a passive appreciation for old things, but as an active, strategic mindset. We've equipped you with a toolkit to put it into action. Wabi-Sabi is not a fleeting trend. It's a timeless way of seeing, of being, and of living. It's the gentle but firm reminder that you are a human being, not a human project to be constantly fixed and optimized. It is the acceptance that we are all finite, impermanent, and beautifully imperfect beings. It is the understanding that a meaningful life is not one devoid of darkness, sorrow, or failure, but one that has integrated them into a richer, more complex, and more beautiful whole. And most importantly, it is the radical belief that your cracks, your scars, and your wrinkles are not flaws to be hidden. They are the journal entries of a life, the evidence that you have lived, loved, fallen, and had the courage to rise again. The next time you feel the pressure to be perfect, remember the golden-seamed Kintsugi bowl, more beautiful for having been broken. The next time you fear the passage of time, remember the quiet dignity of a moss-covered stone, which has weathered countless seasons. And the next time you doubt yourself for your imperfections, remember Sen no Rikyu's garden, brought to life not by its flawless order, but by a few beautifully scattered leaves. The greatest masterpiece you will ever create is not a perfect career, a perfect body, or a perfect life. It is a life that has been fully and authentically lived. Go live it with all its messy, imperfect, and breathtaking beauty. Thank you for tuning in to Mind in Action.